everybody, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 things I wish I knew before starting first year university, because we're getting to that time again. Tomorrow, most people will be starting school, so I thought it was really relevant to go ahead and to talk about what I learned throughout first year, but that I wish I knew going into it. I will say that I entered first year university in 2018, so that was 2 years ago. It was not amid a global pandemic. So I do have to say that I made sure that what I'm putting in this video is relevant to you, but do know that I did not do my first year online, so I can't relate to what that's going to be like. So you might have completely different struggles than I had, but I am here to just share my experience and hopefully inform you so you don't have to have these struggles. I will also mention that I do go to university in Ontario, Canada, and so I cannot guarantee that all of these things are the same for all around the world, just because I don't know, but I assume that these tips and tricks or just general information is general enough to be applicable everywhere, I hope. If you do find this video helpful or interesting, I do ask that if you could give it a thumbs up or a comment down below, or share the video, or subscribe. There's a lot of options now, so if you can do any or all, that would be awesome. And I am super excited that you are even considering it. So thanks for that. I think without further ado, we can get prepared. So first and foremost, I want to say that profs do not have to remind you of assignments. From my experience, on the very first day, the prof will give everybody a syllabus, whether that's a paper copy or online, that really depends on the prof. On the syllabus, there is usually all of the assignment and midterm and exam information. And then after that, the prof never has to mention any of those dates ever again. So it is super important that you take that syllabus and you put it in your calendar and you look at your calendar every single day. I knew people in university who did not do this, and then a month into school realized they hadn't done half of their assignments. Don't be that person, because it can really impact your university career as a whole, because you might think you're incapable when really you just needed to put it in your calendar. It's a very easy fix. What I do is I actually schedule in the times that I'm going to be using to do assignments. And I find that really, really helpful, because then I'll say, okay, from 1 to 3, I'm studying, and it's like I'm going to class, like it's in my schedule, so I have to do it in my mind. So that works for me. I'm hoping it also works for you, because it is like just a really quick, easy tip that can really dramatically improve your university experience and improve your academic performance. The second thing I want to say is that midterms are very hard. A lot of the questions are brand new, and you have to be able to integrate that information with things you have learned and learn on the spot. And most midterms and finals, at least in first year, are multiple choice. Please don't look at that and say, oh, high school multiple choice questions were so easy. 2 of them were just stupid answers, and then the other 2 were, easy enough to differentiate. No. I have had tests where every option is correct, every single one, and there's not even 4 sometimes. Sometimes there's 5, sometimes there's 6, and you just have to pick the best one. Or I've had multiple choice questions where they're all wrong, but you then have to choose the best one. Another thing is, you know how sometimes in high school they'd have the option of none of the above, and it was never that option, because that's just mean. I've had exams where I've had to choose none of the above 5 different times, 10 different times, sometimes multiple times in a row. Profs try and make it hard, and they know it has to be multiple choice because there's too many students that they need to grade. So they try and make the hardest multiple choice questions possible. So my advice for that one is invest getting good at multiple choice. Look up some tips of how you can get better at it. I'm actually going to be probably making a video in the future about how to get better at multiple choice, because it's so important first year in university. My third tip is kind of a funny one, and it's one that a lot of people have a hard time with. It's that you will never get everything done. You need to learn to prioritize. And so this is essentially that you're never going to be lying in bed thinking, oh, I got everything I needed done today. That's not how it's going to work. You get very used to looking at percentages of what everything's worth, doing them last minute, not by choice, not by procrastination, literally just because every day you have something due and that takes priority over the thing that's due tomorrow. And then if you have multiple things due in one day and you know you can't get both of them done, you just have to do the one that's worth the more marks. I will say you should always study though. More often than not, midterms and finals are worth a lot. So if you need to study, study. So that means maybe maybe only doing half the assignment, but studying a little bit more. It's a real balancing act, but I do think you'll learn how to do it, but it does take a transition. But know that going into first year, that if you try and do everything, your mental health will just fall apart. And that is the biggest mistake, because then if you do that, if you get burnt out, you're not going to be able to do anything else. You're not going to be able to study for the next test, and you need that period to rejuvenate. So always get enough sleep, always take breaks, but know you're not going to get it all done. My fourth thing is that beyond first year, no one helps you pick your courses, and no one's monitoring whether or not you're taking the right courses. So you do have to go online and you have to find your undergraduate course calendar and look at all the required courses and make sure you're going to be able to take them all. Plan them out into like a separate schedule just for you, so that every time it's course selection time, you are selecting the right courses and that you are on track for graduating. Because I ended up switching majors halfway through, but I didn't tell anyone I was doing that until I was done my second year. My whole second year, I was doing courses that were not relevant to my major on paper, and nobody told me. So if I would have just continued doing that, because maybe I wasn't paying attention to my required courses, then I would have paid for my 4 years of school and not graduated. Don't expect anybody to notice that you're not doing it, and don't expect anybody to help you figure out what to do unless you go to an academic advisor to help you figure all of that out. My final thing is a motivational comment. It does get easier. If you put in the work, you will be fine. It is hard work, but you get used to it. It becomes easier because you get into a pattern of always studying, always reading, always having something to do, and figuring out what ways you are able to do that and what ways you're able to keep your sanity. So basically, in my own experience, I always got my around-ish 8 hours of sleep. I never had to do an all-nighter drinking coffee and Red Bull. I took care of myself first year and second year, and I can proudly say that I actually didn't fail anything. I did really well in my classes, and that was because I put in the time during the daylight hours and really limited my partying and Netflix time. So I do recommend that if you can, just work hard when it's the work hours and you will be fine. So that wraps up my short and quick video of what I wanted to know before going into first year, and I really hope that it helped you out. But do know it is a giant transition, and it is okay for it to be hard for you. It's expected for it to be hard. First year is the hardest, obviously because of that transition, but also because most universities are trying to get rid of some students, trying to get rid of the weakest links. Like, it's sad to say, but they don't want to have to read 500 papers in fourth year. They're easier on you in the next 3 years. So I would say if you survived those 8 months, you can survive 4 years. Just keep at it, keep working hard, find what motivates you, and make sure you're passionate about the program you chose. I wish you luck on that embarkment that you will go on, and I congratulate you on your accomplishments thus far. You are awesome.